Hello, and welcome to your on-demand instructional meeting this month. We're going to talk about ways that we can get students to collaborate and kind of build that sense of community that we normally do when we're all in person in this new time of co-seating where we all find ourselves. And, we mentioned before that it's not so much about using all of the new tools and as many as you can, but really finding the ones that work for you and getting the most out of those. So we're going to start with Google Slides. We're all familiar with them. And they're popular for a reason, particularly now when we have both students at home and in the classroom, because obviously, as you know, everyone can work on the same presentation at the same time, whether they're in class together or if you've got a group with some members at home and some members there in the classroom. So a lot of the projects that I've read about, a lot of the ideas start with a presentation where you create a slide for each student. And of course, I would divide it up by class period. I probably wouldn't create 180 slides for all of my students in the same presentation, but we'll look at an example in a minute that I created, and it's just, Miss Abbott's fourth period, and we have a slide for each student. But here are a couple of ideas on this slide of things that you can use it for. There's some links down here at the bottom that talk more about different ideas and some instructions for different things you can do. One thing, you can definitely provide a template for the assignment. It kind of gives them, some structure, but obviously still the choice of choosing what they want to include and what they're presenting for their slide. So here's an example PowerPoint. We're going to say that we've assigned each student a part of the cell that they need to present. They need to tell us, the part of the cell they were assigned cytoplasm. We want to know where it is, its function. We need a picture of it, all of this different information. So you can kind of, more or less turn them loose with something like this. Or if you wanted to give them something more structured, you've got, your three elements here, how many characteristics of the element you want. You've got an image where they can, instead of finding an image, they just circle, I don't know what a ribosome is, but we're going to put it there. They can just highlight where that part is in the cell. So if you want to do this, if you want more of a structured template, one thing you can do is lock all of these elements so that students aren't moving them around, or either on purpose or, accidentally without intention. So in order to do that, we're going to select the elements that we want. So you're going to hit Control and click the elements that we want on every slide. First, we're going to delete the specific information, because obviously we want the template to be generic so they can fill in whatever element they've been assigned. So while holding Control, select all the elements. Now you won't want to take this circle with you, because if we take that with us, then they're not going to be able to move it. It's going to be, a fixed part of the slide that we're about to create. Okay, so we have them all selected. We're going to copy. Again, holding Control, we're going to delete the slides that are here, because if we don't, they're going to get messy here in a minute. Slide. You're going to go down to Edit Master. And you're going to find the first slide, delete the elements that are there, because we don't want to double anything. And then go ahead and paste. So if we decide this is the type of template that we want to use, first we're going to take away all the specific, we want it to be generic so that they can type in, the element that they've been assigned. So we're going to delete all the instances where it says ribosome. Okay, we're going to hold Control and select all the elements that we want to take with us. You don't want to select the red circle. If we put that on the template, then they're not going to be able to move it. It's going to be fixed there in the background. So copy all of these elements. Okay, we're going to delete the slides that are there. You're going to go to Slide and then Edit Master. Once we get there, find the first slide and go ahead and delete the elements that it has there by default. And then we want to paste everything that we just selected. And always down here on the bottom right, click Keep Source Formatting. That's going to make it nice and pretty, like it was before we brought it here. Okay, so this is what every slide is going to look like now. So we click back over here, and every time they're all going to look like this. And these elements won't move. Your kids can't accidentally or on purpose, move them around or change it. So all they will need to do when they come in to complete their assignment is insert a text box. To highlight their element here in the picture, they can insert a shape. And of course, they'll want to change it to transparent so that they can move it over whatever part they need to. So there you can have, if you want that template in place. Yes. So more activities with Google Slides. You can create, this one's going to be a little more, this is if you want to create an ebook, which I had never heard about until recently. An ebook is going to be a little bit more of a final product, because when you create an ebook, you're going to save it in as a PDF, in a PDF format. And of course, you don't make changes to those once they're published normally. So a couple of ideas. This is an example right here of a student's art portfolio. So the type of assignment that you would want, a finished product for, maybe not dynamic, a document that you'd go back and change. We've also got, I know that the creative writing class at the end of their term does a compilation of some of their favorite stories and pieces that they've worked on over the term. Culinary, I saw this example. Culinary could do a how-to for certain techniques or certain recipes. So we've got not only the instructions down here in these two links, but there are some more examples also of different projects that you can do. More Google Slides. You've probably heard of these as well, the if-then adventure stories or choose your own adventure stories. And this is something you can create or ask students to create on their own. This is the type of activity where the slide that you go to next, the thing that you see next, depends on what you click. So I've seen, we're going to look at a history assignment here in a minute. We've seen science will do like a lab safety. So you see the safety goggles on your table. Now what do you do? Funny things like that. So same thing. Here's some examples and instructions down here. We're going to look at, I found this and it's really cool. It is a way that he's teaching historical topics. This is Kevin Roughton. I do not know him personally. I just found this super cool example. So we're going to get it started. Click here to play. Of course, this would be, the size of a regular slide presentation. We're going to begin. And he's made all kinds of neat backgrounds and graphics. So we've been assigned Christopher Columbus. Okay. Start simulation, which he's calling it a simulation. And this is where the choice comes in, or it begins. So do we want to discover Spain or Portugal? So we selected Spain. We selected Portugal. And it's showing us the information about that country. And so we get to choose. Do we want to explain the map or give up and leave? But clearly we were supposed to select, that we wanted to go ahead and explore more. So it's a fun way. This is an example, but you can do lots with it. If, students want to create like an alternative scene to one of the stories that they've read, something that wasn't included. Okay, so finally, I found this, and I had never seen this before. Maybe you have, but stop motion with Google Slides. So you create a ton of Google Slides that are similar, but with each one, you move one of the elements a little bit so that as you're clicking through the slide presentation, you can see it move. So here's an example we're going to look at. It's right up here. So I'm going to present. I was going to try to present. Let's try it one more time. Here we go. Okay, so as I'm clicking through you can see up there at the top, the black arrow is moving, and I'm just holding down the forward button, and it's clicking from slide to slide. And so they're modeling how, I'm not going to lie, this is something scientific that I don't understand with atoms, but you can see how they've modeled, and I stopped clicking, I clicked again, click. So it's showing how that change would occur, but they've created it. See, it's just one little small change between slides. So I thought that was really cool. I hadn't seen anyone do that yet. So here's the example, and you can get more instructions here. Clearly that was a science example, but for English, I read that you can retell a scene, you can have characters move them around. In history, I did see an example where they put some battles on the map and then moved the troops back and forth and to their different locations based on the battle. So lots of interesting stuff you could do there. Those are fun, but I hadn't seen that. Okay, we're going to leave Google Slides behind. I'm not thrilled about it, but it's one of my favorites. Okay, we're going to briefly wanted to mention something about Zoom, and this may be old news to many of you, but just like with groups, when we're all in the classroom traditionally in person, sometimes it's helpful to assign group roles. And simple, we've done this before, but it can be just as helpful in Zoom when you have students that are both in the classroom and at home. This is just an example. There are tons. This is just one example of how the roles can work. And I know some people may not have even tried breakout rooms yet, which is fine. But if you're interested in it, here's some instructions, this link right down here on the right, and more information about where this image came from and how you can use it. And other types of roles can be right here, this link called Group Roles. Flipgrid, don't forget about Flipgrid. If you haven't used it, give it a shot. It's fun. The kids are getting pretty familiar with it. They like it too. And there's a lot you can do with it. These are just some examples I found from this link down here. This is an article. I think it has more than 50 examples. In history, students can create like a little mini newscast of, the quote, quote, breaking event, historical event as it's happened, breaking news as it was happening. Mini TED Talks is something new that we're seeing a little bit of on Flipgrid, kind of so that it's not, presentation sounds so tired and boring, and a TED Talk is, sounds new and energetic. And so you may want to present it to them that way. They can also demonstrate any kind of experiment that they're doing at home, for science or physics. Well, physics is science, anything like that. They can make a short video of themselves, doing those things, modeling a math problem. So don't forget about Flipgrid. Here is another, Beth Brentlinger, thank you, Beth, made a video about Flipgrid and how to use it in the classroom. There's a link right down here. So don't forget about all the fun that one can have with Flipgrid. So same thing with Canva. I want to say Canva, by the way, but I think it's Canva. We talked about it before, but I don't know if everyone is aware of exactly how many templates that it has, exactly, how many options there are and all the different things students can create with it. The Canva is just like Google Slides and Google Docs, etc., in that the students can collaborate on one document. They can invite each other onto one document, one project, and all work on the same one. So one of the suggestions they have was creating a storyboard, either, again, for an original story that they're writing or breaking down a scene in a novel or story that you're covering in class. You can see if, forgive me for this cheesy joke, and I gave credit down here at the bottom. You can create bookmarks of all kinds for any subjects to try to help them remember things. Again, posters for, things that have happened in history, trying to help them, just anything to help them remember, even if it's something kind of silly. You'd be amazed, obviously how it sticks in their mind. So Canva, let's see, I don't know if I have it pulled up here or not. Again, I know you're probably familiar, but I wanted to show you all of these templates. They have all kinds, there's all different social media templates they can create and not actually put on social media, but create and turn into you. The personal business marketing, they can make lesson plans. The student can become the teacher. They'll learn it that way for sure. All kinds of different things. Anyway, Canva. So Canva. Oh, the infographics are endless. All of the different charts and things that they can make there. So I like Canva. I don't know if you can tell. I like that one. Okay, on to the new. So, and I say new to some of you may be very familiar with these. We're going to start with Explain Everything. Simple tool. You can do a lot with it, but it can be very simple as well. Explaineverything.com. At its most basic, essentially, it's a whiteboard, but you can record what you have drawn and what you're doing on the whiteboard so that you can send that to a student, have that link available. So you can start with a template. You can put a file on there. I've never tried this one. That's always a good idea when you're giving a presentation to try something new, right? Okay, I'm going to mute because I'm already doing one thing. So, and I'm on a touch screen, so I'm going to go ahead and let's see. I don't know if I hit. Nope, I wasn't recording. Let's try it again. C plus, I don't know why. Isn't that a letter that you algebra teachers use? I don't know. But you get the idea. And you can go back and edit as well in case, there's a piece that you decided shouldn't be in that particular session. But like I said, it's at its most basic, it's a whiteboard that you can record. There are lots of other things you can do with it if you want to venture further, but I thought it was a super cool tool, something else to add to the toolbox, depending on the assignment, the situation that you're in, if that might be helpful to you. Here's a YouTube video that tells a lot more about it, kind of gives some instructions and more examples of how to use it, but super helpful. I thought it was neat. Okay, Genially. We've actually talked about this before on our Teaching Tools website. Genially is a site for, and by the way, it's an unusual web address. It's genial.ly. I don't know how they managed to do that, but they did. It's pretty cool. It's another site for presentations, but they're really unique. It's more than just a slideshow. It's another one of they have a lot of different templates, a lot of different ideas. So if we're going to create one, they have your run-of-the-mill presentation, but they have a lot of different, they have like some quizzes, an interactive image is something, let me show you an example. You probably know an interactive image. You can attach all kinds of, it's one picture and you can attach audio with a certain click. You can attach other images with the click. So this one is made through ThingLink, but it will be like this. So you'll have, if you click here, you'll see a video clip about this book. This is access to the audiobook. So in case you've never seen one, that's what those look like. Where are you, Genially? Okay. I thought gamification is super fun. So a type of presentation, but something a little different. So some of these are more, okay, for example, this one's more of a, like a flashcard, okay? So when you click it, it will change to the answer. You know what I mean? So question, answer. Over here, these are the click to action, okay? So if you're wanting to show, you have a question, see result. So like a flashcard. But over here, they have games, which I think are so fun. Let's look at pinball. Again, always wise to experiment with something while you're doing a presentation, right? So you'll type your questions in, and what happens if they click the right answer, it throws the pinball around, makes a super cool noise. for the wrong answer, it will look that way. So it's essentially, it's a short little quiz or presentation, but something different. And remember, you can create them or have the kids do it. It's something that the kids can create. So, and that's just a piece. I mean, there are all these different things over here that you can do with Genially. So I love it. I think it's super cool. What's next on the agenda? VoiceThread. Okay, some people may have used VoiceThread before, and I'll admit this one's a little new to me, but we've got some information about it on our Kik site, which is the Keller site that offers information on the new technology. I'll show you that site in a minute, actually. So VoiceThread, the best way to describe it is you create a presentation, but people can comment and leave audio and comments on the slide. So you can also record yourself talking, of course. So here's an example. Okay, we're going to let it play.
Hi, my name is Dwayne. In Miss Lee's art class, fourth graders made Indonesian shadow puppets. We chose our favorite characters from the story called The Ramayana.
So see, his teacher has commented here, just typed in a comment. Okay, and then if we go to the next slide, you can see that other people, they've made comments on this slide as well. It kind of gives you an idea of how VoiceThread works. There's a lot more you can do with it, but at its base level, that's what you can do. So here's a link to the Kik site to give you some more instructions and tutorials on that. And here's the site right here. Okay, we're going to talk briefly about GoGuardian, which may or may not be a new tool to you. GoGuardian is something like, we used to have Land School. I don't know if anyone remembers that way back when. You can see, it allows you to see students' screens when they are using their Chromebook or logged into the Chrome web browser. We want to be really careful with this. We don't want this to come across as a gotcha type tool. We don't want students to think we're watching them, waiting for them to mess up. Really think of GoGuardian as a way to support students, a way to direct students. There's a lot you can do with it, a lot. You can create, it's called a scene that you can create, and you can include a group of websites that the students can go to. So instead of marking all the ones you don't want them to go to, trying to block out everything you don't want them to go to, you can choose a number of different sites for whatever project it is, like a list where they can go, and those are the sites they can access. There's a chat feature, which can be helpful for those students that don't, want to raise their hand, that don't want to walk over to your desk and ask a question. This can be from the Zoom kids at home, or the kids right there in class can chat with you. The kids sitting across the room can chat. No one has to know that they're asking you a question. You can send an announcement to the whole class without, saying it out loud if you didn't want to. Lots of different things you can do with this. I would advise, we don't have to sit here and all watch it together, but if you click the link here for this image, it's a really good overview that Audrey Wilson Youngblood created to give you an idea of its purpose and how the best practices and how to use it. It's really more of a support for the students. It does have some information on if they make a habit of, playing games on Cool Math instead of the assignment. And, it gives you some information about where they are and if they're working on the assignment or not. But we just want them to know that it's a way that we're trying to help, that we're trying to facilitate them and the assignment, and it is only used during that instructional time. Beth Brentlinger, I know lots of teachers have been using it, but again, thank you, Beth. Beth Brentlinger has been using this in her classroom. And so she created a video that if you click the link here, she goes through and shows you the dashboard, what it looks like, how she's using it. And let me back up to this slide real quick. And right here, if you click to get to the Kik site, let's go there. To go to the Kik site for GoGuardian. By the way, don't forget about the Kik site. It has lots of, I'm not gonna lie, I can't remember what Kik stands for. It's an acronym for something, but look at all of these different tools that they have tutorials for and help for. If you'll notice, Aries is on there, thank goodness, because I know we're all struggling with that, myself included. But anyway, back to GoGuardian. So this is the very helpful presentation that Audrey created. And then it actually takes you through, okay, I'm ready to get started. Okay, I'm in a session. What does that look like? So lots of important stuff right here. And they're not long videos at all. So I would direct you here if you're more interested in that. Of course, if you want me to find a time and get with you, and we'll find a time that works for you, get this set up, get you started with it. I know that I believe Ashley Madonna is using it as well to make sure that when students are testing, they're staying on the sites that they're supposed to be using and, not Googling for answers, et cetera. So there are several teachers out there, if you'll ask around, that are using it, or let me know and we can absolutely find a time to sit down and get you started. So, and I've already preached this part already. Just don't forget about that Kik site. Right here, I linked it. It's pretty simple. Lots and lots of information on there when it's, 10 o'clock at night and nobody's going to respond to your call for help email, right then. Click on here. It answers a lot of questions. It's super helpful. And just, we forget that it's there, but it's awesome. Also, don't forget about the good old Teaching Tools website that we started last year. Obviously, I have not been able to update it nearly as often as I would have liked to. It certainly hasn't been every week, but it does have all of the things that I've sent out this year and the Teaching Tool of the Week emails from last year, if you'll see up here, from the 1920 school year. So if there's anything that you kind of vaguely remember and you'd like to look it up, what was that one thing where, that's there for you too. Don't forget. So those are the tools we're going to run with. Just some thoughts. And as I mentioned, I know that not all of those are brand new to you, but just was hoping to get the juices flowing and maybe we can come up with some good ideas. So let me know other ways that I can help. I hope that this was helpful and hang in there. It's going to be a great semester.